Hello and welcome back to the Create series, Season 1, Episode 24. It's finally here. The time has finally arrived. Today, we complete this factory. So let's jump right in. Finish off the factory, we're going to add automated crafting with mechanical crafters. We'll be crafting redstone torches. We'll be crafting electron tubes. We'll be crafting... We'll be crafting brass funnels. But wait, there's more. Order now and you'll also receive crafters for pulse repeaters, pulse extenders, regular repeaters, comparators, observers, threshold switches, smart observers, and more for no additional charge. No additional charge claim excludes the $19.95 processing fee for additional items. So basically the way this system works, we have our mechanical crafters. Then we have input funnels that go into the crafters. We'll be using a mechanical arm to pull resources from depots and plop them into these inputs, which will put them in the crafters. Crafters will craft them, they'll fall out on the belt, and they'll go around to storage units. So over here we're going to have little buffers that pull items off the belt as needed. That will plop them onto these depots. So for example, this will be our torch crafter. So we know in the top part of the recipe we need redstone dust, in the bottom we need a stick. And let's say we'll pull a stick from here, redstone dust from here, and then we'll tell our arm that's going to place items here, and it's going to pull items from here and here, and we just plop it down. And that's basically the torch machine. And we're going to do this. We'll set up the inputs here. We have to be a little careful pulling stuff from the belt. But we'll work on that in a bit. But most of these are going to be the same. So I think I'll go ahead and set up a few more crafters and a few more arms. We'll come back and hook up the input mechanisms. Okay, so I've laid out crafters for redstone torches, electron tubes, brass funnels, and redstone links. But before we get too far, I want to go ahead and test one because it's probably going to get a little cluttered in here. This one should be good to go. Drop in that. Drop in that. Pop those in the right spots. And it'll make torches. The torches will fall out on the belt. Torches are going to be using some of the other crafting mechanisms, so I went ahead and created storage for them over here, like all of our other resources. Also, one for the electron tube, but it's not quite ready yet. So it's pretty simple. That's basically how it's going to work, and it's how it's going to work all the way down the line. There's something a little bit different about the electron tube maker. It uses brass sheets, and I didn't really want to add additional storage for sheets themselves and make a machine and all that, so I'm just going to make the machine as it comes out. It's not much more complicated. We'll have this like normal. And this is actually going to take in iron and drop out iron. On top of that, we'll just add a press. Like so. And then just throw in another depot. And then we'll tell this to only send out iron sheets. And then we'll pull from there and put into the machine. So if we just hook this up real quick. And we'll go ahead and throw down the buffer for rose quartz. We'll put in our arm, replacing here and here, and pulling from here and here. And that should do it. So raw iron in here. Okay. That appears to be working. Excellent. So it's kind of that simple. It really is that simple. And what's more, it looks like a factory with the arms. I like it. I'm gonna share an arm between the next two. There we go. This one sticks out a little far for that crafter, but we'll make it up in the next one. The next two crafters will be crafting pulse extenders and pulse repeaters. These two devices use the same ingredients, so I'm just going to make it as a single machine that makes both. And that way they can share a mechanical arm and it'll pull from one set of ingredients. Let's keep it going with repeaters and comparators. And the biggest crafter in this set, the observer. Lots of cobble in this one. Turning these things out now. And the last two assemblers, at least for now, smart observer and the threshold switch. These have very similar components, so I am going to make those together, kind of like I did the pulse repeater and the pulse extender. Since the comparators and observers are going to be used to make the threshold switch and the smart observer, I want to give them a spot in the buffer system. So the annoyance of working on these belts finally got to me. I made myself some netherite diving boots. Yeah. Now I can just walk on these belts. How does this work? I don't know, but I like it. Alright, let's talk about inputs. So the inputs to these assemblers are going to come off this belt. Like that. And go into these machines. So the problem with this is some of these machines take the same thing. Like there's multiple things that take dust, multiple things that take torches. So if I just left it like this and I dumped out my resources, they would come and get sucked up by the first machine that uses them. So what we're going to do, we'll put some andesite casing over the top with a redstone link and a piece of dust. We'll set this frequency to this machine's on-off switch. That way, and it'll be locked by default. I don't have the switch up yet, but and then when we turn the machine on, it'll unlock. Just these barrels will pick up the resources that it needs. It does mean I can't run two machines that use the same ingredients at the same time, but I don't think that's a big deal. And if it is, we could, play games with the logic to make that work later if we really want to. So that's the way that's going to work. It's going to be the same all the way down, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the rest of those in. Okay, I got them all hooked up. I think they're right. I've got them wired up to switches on the wall. So now I can lock and unlock specific ones. Like that one's now unlocked. So the torch machine would take in material. If I lock it back, it's locked. So, yeah. So now the next step is to make logic for each one of these machines. The logic's going to be similar to the machines that are built on the side. In most cases, it's probably a little bit easier. So I'm just going to speed run all those because I have to make like 10 of them. Well, it's a speed run for you. It's going to take me hours. Oh, oof, oh, oof, oh. And done. It took a while, but not as bad as I feared. So most of the logic is very similar to all the other release logic that we've done before. There are a couple things that I do want to talk about. In machines where you have ingredients where you need to release multiple stacks, before we had the timer system because you had to space them out because the weighted ejector can only take them so often. These all have buffers, so they can pull them straight off the belt. So it made the logic actually a little bit easier. For example, so this one takes stone and it needs 6 stacks. If I hold the funnel open for 50 ticks, that lets out exactly 6 stacks. And then this one is 20 ticks, which I believe lets out 3 stacks, and then 10 ticks will release 2 stacks. And because they have the buffer, they can pull them from consecutive locations off the belt. It actually makes it a lot nicer. So this one is for the machine that builds the pulse repeaters and pulse extenders. This is the machine that puts together the smart observers and the threshold switches. And then up above, we have this pattern repeated for repeater. No pun intended. Observer, comparator, and so on. So there was one gotcha with this logic. We have multiple machines that need redstone dust. And all the machines had the redstone dust vault locked. So if just one machine needed the dust and it tries to unlock it, all the other machines that need redstone dust still have it locked. So we needed just a simple AND gate here. This is a extendable AND gate. It takes 5 inputs for this one because we have 5 machines that use redstone dust, like the torch machine, repeater, and so on. This logic just basically takes all the locks and says you have to have all the locks on for the dust vault to be locked. So if any one of them decides to unlock it, this will unlock and let the redstone out. We need this for several things. Torches had 4 machines, and then up above, stone had 3 machines, and then quartz had 3 machines, and I was kind of running out of space. So the things that just needed 2, I did this vertical AND gate. So the inputs are on the back, and the output is on the front. And that's pretty much the logic, and I hope we don't need any more because I'm out of space. Now, as far as testing, I haven't really tested these yet. The reason I haven't really tested them for things like the funnels and the links, those are all like end user products, so they don't have any storage, and I didn't want them just cluttering up the belt. The end user storage mechanism is going to go right here. It's going to have a very cool feature. It's going to be the last thing in the factory. Let's build it. You know, in those home improvement shows, when everything's going so well, and then they tell you, oh, by the way, your foundation is crumbling and it's going to cost you $6 million to fix. I just had one of those moments. I was all ready to talk about that monstrosity in the back and give you a demonstration of what it does, but I needed some resources in the system. So I was going to run some of the machines, get stuff into the system for demonstration. And then I realized, you know those drop holes where we drop resources from the factory above? They used to fall on this belt, but now they fall onto my input locks. And it's pretty tight up there. I don't know if, And just like in those shows, after the drama builds for a while, you realize, it wasn't that big of a deal. So yeah, instead of falling onto this belt, I moved everything over 2 blocks to fall on this belt. Crisis averted. Okay, let's talk about the final piece of the factory. It's this storage module. Now this storage is for end user items that I may want to come collect. So basically everything that the assemblers make, plus some of the raw materials too, like redstone dust I may want to collect. And redstone torches. It's making torches right now, as you can see. But before we talk about how it works, I want to show you the cool feature. So the way this works, let's say I come home from a redstone job, nighttime. I've used up all my dust, all my torches, and I just need them refilled. I can go to the factory storage module, plop in my toolbox, fills up my redstone dust, fills up with the torches that I have made, because I haven't had many yet. Then I just step on the platform, that locks the output, pick up my toolbox, and I'm on my way. Fresh supplies. Pretty cool, eh? You could say it's way better than my current method. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how it works. So we have this, as you can see, is currently flinging torches, because that's what I'm making right now. This funnel has a filter with everything that I'm storing in this storage container. It'll only pick up items that might go in the container. So up top, that lands on a belt, and it goes across smart chutes for every type that we store. And if the smart chute is not locked, it'll accept the item. If it is locked, the item will go all the way around, go back on the belt, go back down there, and back into the other storage system. For each item, I have a threshold switch, and the threshold switch currently is set to lock the smart chute when the amount of this particular item hits 2%. And I can run it up to 5, and then I would have storage for 20. And it could be 100% full if everything was full. And then when I take stuff out, when it drops down to 1, it will unlock and accept items back into it. When we walk out here and we add like a shulker box or toolbox, the observer sees that it's there and it unlatches this smart chute. So it'll allow items to flow into whatever the box is. There's a timing issue. If I try to like take the toolbox away, a couple of items will fall before it turns off. So I just put this pressure plate here, stand on it, it'll lock. You can take the toolbox and then walk away and it'll stay locked. It's pretty simple. Redstone, the latch just goes off the observer as a toggle. And then of course the pressure plate's connected to this, which activates that, which will lock the system regardless of where the toggle is. There are some spots that aren't used. I'm using about 15 of the spots right now. I just put like scaffolding. There's no scaffolding machine, but I just put that as a placeholder so that it doesn't suck up random items. And I believe that is the final piece of the factory. Been a lot of work in here, but it's going to be so nice having these resources whenever I want them. I still got a little cleanup work to do. Obviously, I got to get rid of the scaffolding. I got to test all the machines, make sure they all really do work, that kind of thing. But other than that, yeah, I think we're done. Also, the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode.